How often do we question the cultural influence of non-binary identities in our society? Quite often the answer is not enough. We navigate a world where binary gender norms have been deeply ingrained, often leaving non-binary identities overlooked, misunderstood, or worse still, stigmatized. Non-binary identities, for those unfamiliar, exist outside the traditional male-female gender dichotomy. They encompass a spectrum of identities that do not strictly adhere to the societal expectations of masculinity or femininity. These can include identities such as genderqueer, genderfluid, and agender, to name but a few. The cultural significance of non-binary identities is profound. They challenge the binary gender norms that have long dominated, pushing us to broaden our understanding and acceptance of gender diversity. They remind us that gender is not a rigid two-option choice, but a spectrum of identities, each as valid and worthy of respect as the next. Gender diversity holds an essential role in shaping societal norms and perceptions. It encourages us to question and reconsider our preconceived notions about gender. It invites us to engage in dialogues that foster understanding, acceptance, and inclusivity. It pushes us to recognize and celebrate the rich tapestry of human identities that make up our world. However, this journey towards understanding and acceptance is not without its challenges. Non-binary identities, despite their cultural significance, have often been misunderstood and weaponized. They've been used as tools of division, sparking societal disputes and controversies. Non-binary individuals face an uphill battle against societal norms that are deeply rooted in binary gender expectations. They navigate a world that often fails to understand them, a world that can be quick to judge and slow to accept. Yet they persist, bravely challenging the status quo and paving the way for a more inclusive future. It's crucial to understand that recognizing and respecting non-binary identities is not just about political correctness. It's about human dignity and equality. It's about acknowledging the complexity of human identity and striving for a society where everyone feels seen, understood, and accepted. As we delve deeper, let's examine how these identities have been weaponized, often leading to societal disputes and controversies. Media, the mirror of society, can sometimes distort reflections, can't it? It's a powerful tool, shaping our understanding of the world and the people in it. Yet when it comes to painting a picture of non-binary identities, the media has often wielded its influence irresponsibly, transforming the narrative into a weapon. Let's take a look at a case study that brings this issue to the forefront. The non-binary community, a diverse group of individuals who don't identify exclusively as male or female, has been at the mercy of harmful stereotypes perpetuated by media outlets. These stereotypes, often born out of ignorance or prejudice, can range from portraying non-binary people as attention-seeking, mentally unstable, or merely following a trend. This narrow and misinformed portrayal can lead to a multitude of negative impacts. For instance, it fosters misunderstanding and intolerance, creating a hostile environment for those who identify as non-binary. It can also lead to internalized stigma, with non-binary individuals questioning their self-worth and legitimacy of their identity due to the negative portrayal. Furthermore, these stereotypes can also limit the scope of societal discourse around non-binary identities. By focusing on a sensationalized narrative, the media often overlooks the real issues faced by the non-binary community, such as legal recognition, healthcare, and social acceptance. The media's weaponization of non-binary identities doesn't just harm those who identify as such. It also perpetuates a harmful binary view of gender that affects us all. It reinforces the idea that there are only two valid ways of being, male or female, and anything outside of that is abnormal or wrong. In this era of connectivity and information, the media should be a force for education and understanding, not a tool for spreading harmful stereotypes. The misrepresentation of non-binary identities in the media doesn't just harm the individuals it targets, it also hinders our collective understanding and acceptance of the diverse spectrum of human identity. We see how misuse of non-binary identities can cause harm, but it's not limited to just media. Let's delve deeper into the influence of other societal sectors on non-binary identities in our next segment. The political arena, a battleground for ideologies, but at what cost? Let's delve into another case study that highlights the politicization of non-binary identities. Politics often serves as a platform where individuals and groups wrestle for power and influence. In the process, identities, including non-binary ones, can become pawns in a larger game of chess. This politicization often creates division, and this division can significantly affect the rights and freedoms of non-binary individuals. Take, for instance, a recent case where a certain political party sought to win favor with a conservative base by proposing legislation to restrict the rights of non-binary individuals. The proposed bill sought to limit the ability of non-binary persons to express their gender identity freely under the guise of preserving traditional societal norms. This kind of legislation not only undermines the rights of non-binary individuals, but it also creates an environment of hostility and exclusion. Moreover, the politicization of non-binary identities often leads to a lack of understanding and empathy. When non-binary identities are used as a political tool, it can result in the dehumanization of these individuals. Their experiences, struggles, and truths are reduced to mere talking points, which can further alienate them from society. The consequences of this politicization are far-reaching. It not only affects individuals, but also the society at large. It fosters division rather than unity, ignorance rather than understanding, and hostility rather than acceptance. It's a vicious cycle that perpetuates stereotypes and biases, and ultimately hinders the progress towards a more inclusive society. It's crucial to remember that behind every political agenda, every piece of legislation, there are real people with real lives. Non-binary individuals, like everyone else, are more than just a political strategy. They are citizens with rights, aspirations, and dreams. They deserve to be recognized and respected, not used as pawns in a political game. From media to politics, non-binary identities face trials, yet the weaponization doesn't end here. As we continue to explore the challenges faced by non-binary individuals, we'll soon delve into another arena where their identities are often contested: education, but that's a discussion for the next scene. Stay tuned. Knowledge is power, but what if the power is used to suppress? Let's delve into a compelling case study that explores the weaponization of non-binary identities in educational settings. In many parts of the world, education systems continue to be grounded in binary gender norms. These norms are deeply ingrained, shaping the way education is delivered, the curriculum content, and the expectations set for students. Non-binary students often find themselves in an environment that does not recognize their identity, leading to feelings of alienation and marginalization. Let's take the example of school uniforms. In many schools, uniforms are strictly divided along binary gender lines: skirts for girls, trousers for boys. This seemingly simple rule can become a major source of distress for non-binary students who may not identify with either of these categories. This extends beyond uniforms to the very structure of schools themselves. Binary gender segregation in activities, sports teams, and even bathrooms can create an unwelcoming environment for non-binary students. These practices send a clear, albeit unintended message: non-binary identities are not valid here. The impacts of this are far-reaching. Studies have shown that non-binary students in such environments often experience higher levels of anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. They may also suffer academically, with lower grades and higher dropout rates compared to their cisgender peers. This is not to suggest that all schools are failing their non-binary students. There are many institutions around the world that are challenging these norms, introducing gender-neutral uniforms, inclusive curriculums, and comprehensive support systems. These schools serve as beacons of progress, demonstrating that change is not only possible, but necessary. The weaponization of non-binary identities in education is a complex issue, steeped in deeply held societal beliefs and norms. But as we continue to evolve and grow as a society, it's essential that our education systems evolve with us, to create an environment that is inclusive, respectful, and supportive of all students, regardless of their gender identity. The misuse of non-binary identities reaches far and wide, from our media to our politics to our schools. What does this mean for non-binary individuals and our society at large? As we've journeyed through this video, we've explored the cultural influence of non-binary identities and their misuse in various societal sectors. We started by understanding non-binary identities, those that exist outside the traditional male and female gender binary. We've seen how these identities, rich in diversity and individuality, are an integral part of our cultural fabric. Next, we delved into how these identities have been weaponized, particularly in the media. Sensationalized headlines, harmful stereotypes, and misinformation are just a few of the ways non-binary identities have been used to fuel fear and misunderstanding. Politics, too, has not been immune from this misuse. The politicization of non-binary identities has led to heated debates, controversial policies, and further division. Education is another sector where the misuse of non-binary identities has been evident. We examined how the lack of understanding and acceptance of these identities in educational settings can have detrimental effects on non-binary individuals, from bullying to mental health issues. So where do we go from here? The answer is towards understanding and acceptance. It's about promoting dialogue and education about non-binary identities, dispelling myths and challenging harmful stereotypes. It's about creating safe spaces for non-binary individuals to express their identities freely and without fear. It's about implementing policies that respect and protect these identities, from the media to politics to education. We also need to remember that it's not just about changing individual attitudes, but also societal ones. This isn't just a task for non-binary individuals to shoulder, it's a societal endeavor. It calls for allies to step up, for voices to be raised, for narratives to be challenged and changed. We have a long road ahead of us, but every step towards understanding and acceptance is a step in the right direction. It's time to change the narrative, because at the end of the day, gender identity is a deeply personal matter, and everyone deserves to be seen, respected, and accepted for who they truly are. The journey towards understanding and acceptance isn't a solitary one, it's a societal endeavor. It's time to change the narrative.